I will do our free money question of the day coming up from Hobeika Law Firm. A few minutes. Andrew, listen, I want to let you play along on this thing. Okay, you ready? These are Irish songs. You got to tell me who's singing the song.
Oh,
okay?
gosh. Okay.
You should be able to pull this off. Come on, you can do it. Here we go. Here is song number 1. Who's singing this song, and what's the name of the song? This is song number 1. To this one, listen in. Who is doing this one? This version of Danny Boy. Listen in. Okay, that's still Elvis. Sorry.
Okay, I was going to say.
This is going really well, isn't it?
What is the alcohol content on these?
Apparently a lot. It's affecting me.
Loaded.
How about this is an awesome, this is my favorite version of Danny Boy.
Danny.
Conway Twitty.
Oh, okay.
You remember Conway Twitty when in the 50s and 60s, Conway Twitty was a pop artist. He wasn't a country artist.
And I'll tell you, as you were playing that, I had the vision of those infomercials that play. You can get the greatest hits of the 60s and 70s with Conway Twitty.
And there's more. Today, yes, being St. Patrick's Day. So there you have that. CNN had an interview with Donald Trump yesterday and made news because Trump, and I don't think I think he was this was just an unartful way of saying what he wanted to say. I don't think he meant to talk about.
No way.
Creating riots or anything like that. But basically, during New Day yesterday on CNN, talked about if he were to not be the nominee and he had all of the votes, which is where it looks like he's going to be when it comes to these delegates, that it might create, I don't know, riots.
Well, again,
and that's what everybody's focusing on today, that Trump is saying there will be riots if he is not the nominee.
So I
think is kind of taking this out of context, to be honest, in defense of Donald Trump.
I totally agree with you. We've been very honest. I think we've been fair, and I think we're being fair again. Compared to the other things that he said, this is no big deal at all.
Blowing it way out of proportion. Here's a little quiz we could do, a little news quiz. You can get in on this one. You ready? Donald Trump was asked yesterday on Morning Joe to name now you remember a while back, where do you get your foreign policy information? Who is advising you? And you remember in the beginning, this was on Meet the Press, Donald Trump said, I watch all the programs. Okay? You remember?
All the shows.
Now, yesterday, here we are. He's almost the Republican nominee for President of the United States. And Donald Trump yesterday announced who his consultant is, who he goes with for consultancy on foreign policy. Who do you think he named? Banaski.
I'm going to say it's a relevant one. I'm going to say it's like Colin Powell.
Colin Powell. Was it Colin Powell? No. Christine?
I'm going to say Melania.
That's a good guess. That's a very good guess. Not the answer there either.
Sarah Palin?
Andrew? Sarah Palin, not the answer.
His son Eric.
Huh?
His son Eric.
His son Eric, by the way, who you can try his phone number again in a few minutes.
Yeah, I will.
His son Eric. No.
I know the answer.
And the answer,
but we're not supposed to reveal it. It's you.
It's not me. But technically the word you was used often when talking about this person because Donald consults himself. Here is the clip. This is from yesterday.
Who was that asking him the question?
I don't know. I don't know.
It sounded like Megyn Kelly.
It did sound like Megyn Kelly, but it was on Fox and Friends?
I don't really know, to be honest with you, Christine. All I know is that he's consulting himself. That is the deal. Crazy, huh?
Well, I think his supporters would be happy about that.
How did you guys not get that answer right off the bat? Should have had that one.
You're right.
Too easy, really.
Dr. Brandon Brock is on right now. We were talking a little baseball earlier, and how about football? For the first time, it seems that the NFL is now acknowledging there is a link between football and brain disease. And Dr. Brandon Brock is on right now. This is really kind of a big moment, right, for the NFL?
It is. It's a big moment for the NFL. I mean, I would say that's probably an understatement.
So, did they go as far as making a statement that would accept responsibility?
Well, I don't know. I'm not super versed in the legal system, but when you start saying things like "we now understand" and "we know" and "this is a reality," you know that it's not good in a legal situation. I mean, I just think that their opinion is no longer more powerful than the evidence. And it's just that's the way it is.
You know, we now have former football players and coaches saying that they would not allow their kids, if they knew today or if they knew then what they know today, they would not have allowed their kids to play football Are we in the beginnings of a complete overhaul of this game?
Yeah, there's going to be, I don't know what it's going to be. There's going to have to be something. There's going to have to be informed consent. There's going to have to be more people come out. There's a lot of professional athletes that are hiding behind the scenes that are suffering and won't say anything, but they're going to have to come out and say, this is what's happened.
Yeah.
And what's going to have to happen is in high school, there's going to have to be more consent. There's going to have to be training. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't think football will go away. Like here in Texas, it's the culture.
I mean, could you imagine a Friday night without football in Texas?
It would be a terrible time.
Speaking with neurologist Dr. Brandon Brock.
I have a quick question. Something you said I think is key. Professional athletes. It's not necessarily just football. I mean, we've seen cases of boys and girls soccer, high school players getting concussions from heading a ball. There are other sports where violence is part of the game, and maybe they're prone to concussion. This is something like boxing is another example, probably MMA you can group in there as well. This is something that professional sports as a whole are going to have to address, not just the NFL.
Absolutely. I think we've seen some of it in politics. I don't know if those guys... No, but professional athletes of all time.
Sorry, Doc, a little slow here this morning. I get what you're saying.
So
that was me referring to your Trump comment earlier.
Yeah,
I just had to chime in a little bit. But no, look, female soccer players, female hockey players, male hockey players, boxers, these guys know already. There's pugilistic dementia is something that we already knew existed. And when you box, you're going to get hurt. It's just now each sport has to kind of deal with it at their own pace. I mean, you'll see research come out now in every contact sport, and they'll start saying, hey, here's the possibility of you having a chronic debilitating injury based upon X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
And, the thing is that professional male football players are the most aggressive, strongest individuals. I think we could agree on that. And so, therefore, they're going to suffer the worst.
Right. It's interesting. I'm a believer that we are responsible for ourselves. There shouldn't be someone, when smoking was an issue, when doctors were coming out and saying smoking is good for you, there's nothing wrong with it. Well, that's a problem back in the 60s. But today, people still smoke. They know it can cause cancer and increases their chances, but they still smoke. It's their body. If they want to do it to their body, do it to their body. My feeling is if the NFL acknowledges that, we're doing everything we can, but there are these risks. If you play, that's your own choice, right?
Yeah, I think that's really why they're identifying it right now, because they're just going to say, look, this is the probability and the possibility. If you do it, you're doing it at your own risk, so therefore don't come crying to us whenever you can't talk anymore. And I mean, and then society at large is going to have to decide, do I want to see the entertainment, or do I care enough about the individual to not support it because I don't want them to die early or be dysfunctional in their 30s and 40s? And you know what society's going to choose, probably.
Yeah, because what else would we do on Sunday?
I mean, it's...
People love football. It's a big, and the money in football is just incredible. I mean, we're seeing the rule changes, and even right now there's pushback on some of these rule changes, but it's going to be interesting. Dr. Brandon Brock, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
All right. Speaking of the concussion thing, you mentioned MMA. Did you see that the Senate, of course, we knew, had passed the MMA in their budget? Now it looks like the MMA is going to actually, for the first time, reach the assembly floor. I spoke with Anthony Brindisi about this yesterday, and he is predicting that it will pass the assembly next week. And for the first time, MMA will be legalized in New York State.
Well, it'd be interesting to see, but I will say, with all due respect, I've heard that before.
It's never come to the floor before.
True. That's true. I've heard before that this year we're going to get it done.
This is the first time there's ever been a vote, and they feel they have the votes. So I think it's going to pass. And let me tell you that if it does, you'll see UFC action at the Madison Square Garden right away. And then, we might even see stuff happen here at the auditorium and places like that. Turning Stone as well. There's some real opportunity for this. There's a lot of money. And again, they know they know the dangers of the sport, just like boxing. They choose to participate. It's a huge sport, and why not pass it and make it happen? We'll see what happens. He's telling us the vote will come next week. and he expects it to pass. We'll come right back. Hold tight. 8:52 at WIBX.